Governor Alex Otti traveled all the way from Abia to Sokoto to Nnamdi Kanu at the Sokoto Correctional Center. Governor Alex Otti traveled with Sokoto government officials and was given heavy security escort into the facility. His visit is portrayed as a courageous move, especially as he is the only Southeast governor who has gone to see Nnamdi Kanu since the judgment. Meanwhile, an honorable lawmaker from Abia state has begged President Tinubu to grant Nnamdi Kanu presidential pardon within the lawful 60 to 90-day window. The lawmaker praises Tinubu's courage and urges him to extend that courage by releasing Nnamdi Kanu. Alex Otti showed political bravery by visiting Nnamdi Kanu. He told Nnamdi Kanu one-on-one that political appeal is on the way to secure his freedom, and motivated him never to give up, assuring him that serious work is going on underground to make sure he comes out from prison as soon as possible. Unfortunately, two vocal Igbo women from Abia state have strongly criticized the IPOB movement and Nnamdi Kanu's methods. The first woman says not all Igbo people support the Biafra struggle and that the East is divided on the issue. She argues that IPOB's activities brought chaos to the Southeast, including ESN enforcement and Monday sit-at-home. She insists many Igbo people have chosen silence and should not be bullied into supporting Nnamdi Kanu. She condemns the incitement of violence, comparing hate-filled radio messages to pre-genocide rhetoric in Rwanda. The second woman says Nnamdi Kanu still has appeal rights, so supporters should stop emotional attacks on those who disagree. She claims IPOB members committed killings under Nnamdi Kanu's leadership and that justice must consider victims too. She cites examples of murder cases allegedly linked to IPOB supporters, including the killing of military couples in Anambra. She says Nnamdi Kanu's inflammatory broadcasts contributed to violence, and influencers must be careful because their words can provoke crime. The woman recounts visiting the Rwanda Genocide Museum and warns that war starts with dangerous speech. She says Nigeria should learn from Rwanda, where tribal identity was abolished to prevent future genocide. According to her, Nnamdi Kanu sabotaged himself legally by firing his lawyers, representing himself, insulting the judge, and refusing to present a defense. She argues the judgment is airtight and would likely stand at any appeal, even calling it fair because the judge chose life imprisonment instead of death. She emphasizes that Nnamdi Kanu had full fair hearing rights, including the chance for allocutus, plea for mercy. Alex Otti is currently the governor of Abia state, which is Nnamdi Kanu's home state and the birthplace of his activism and rising influence. Since Kanu's incarceration, Southeast governors have often been accused of not doing enough to engage with the federal government or advocate for his release. Many people feel that Southeast political leaders are usually too scared or too politically cautious when it comes to the sensitive matter of Biafra agitation. So when Alex Otti traveled all the way to Sokoto, a far northern state, to visit Nnamdi Kanu physically inside the correctional facility, the symbolism alone carried enormous weight. His journey signaled a willingness to take political risks, to stand out from the crowd, and to directly involve himself in one of the most controversial issues involving the Igbo people. According to the report, Otti did not travel alone. He was welcomed and escorted by Sokoto government officials and given tight security from the gate to the inner area of the prison. This detail matters because it shows that the visit was not done secretly or in an informal way. It was official. It followed due process. and it involved coordination between 2 state governments, one from the southeast and one from the far northwest, showing that, as sensitive as this matter is, proper arrangements were made to maintain security and transparency. Before our analysts break down everything, let's take a look at this video.
Nnamdi Kanu's issue or involve themselves.
Maybe they're not loud enough.
I laugh. The Igbo people we are one of the smartest people. We are not just book smarts, we are street smarts, and we are business smarts. Okay? You're telling someone to come and support a movement or talk about a movement that he initially is not wanting to be part of. The Biafran movement is not something that all Igbos are in support of. So stop trying. I need people to stop trying to mash us into one. There is a divide already on this movement. Before IPOB, there was MASOB. How did MASOB run their agenda so peacefully? But when it was time for the IPOB, we are having chaos. The East is not what it used to be. We can't travel anymore. The UGMs are in play. The ESN are in play. My state is in shambles because I am from the same state as he is. You can't come out on Mondays anymore. You move, you get killed. Why is nobody saying anything about that? We are more worried about one man who put the whole of the East in disarray for doing the wrong thing. There's tyranny, there's treason. Are we going to advocate for a tyrant? You want a cessation, you do not go about it the legal way, and you put everybody's lives from the East into problems, and then you want us to stand behind violence? Has any of you taken the time to listen to Nnamdi's radio channel for 1 hour and hear the amount of hate? The hate! I don't speak on this because it pains me to my blood. I know what we are facing. The civil war is still a mark. My father was one of them, and he will tell you, anything you do in life, do not advocate for a war. The general who started it, God rest his soul, he came out to say he regretted his actions. He wasn't even here when the chips were down. And you think Kanu will be here when he sets? What are we kidding ourselves? What are we saying? We are not, there are a lot of us not in support of the movement, and that's facts. And you cannot force it upon anybody, whether as a leader, as a statesman, or whoever hierarchy. If I'm not in support, I'm not in support. You can't use my political ambition or my political stance to hold it against me that I'm not speaking up. Igbo people are smart. We choose our battles wisely. And for this battle of Nnamdi Kanu, we are choosing to stay silent. And the people who have chosen to stay silent should not be bullied for their choice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This live video I'm making this morning is to let you guys know that, look, yes, the court of first instance have given its judgment. That doesn't mean that his right to appeal has been closed or foreclosed. No, he has a right to appeal his judgment. He has a right to appeal that judgment. Then even when the appeal comes out, the judgment in the court of appeal comes out, he also has a right to the Supreme Court. It is not yet the end. So why the cry? Why all the emotional things? Why the insult on people? Must everybody support IPOB? I'm an Igbo woman, but I'm not IPOB. I'm not in support of them. Now we say justice is everybody's business. What about those who died? What about those who were killed by these IPOB people under his command? What about them? Dora Kunyeli's husband is an example. What about the unknown gunmen? Yes, I agree. He has every right to seek what he wanted. Everybody has a right to agitate for change. Everybody has a right to agitate for change. You guys know me. I'm stubborn when I believe in something. So at a point, I liked this young man. I loved Nnamdi Kanu. At a point, because I could see a young man vibrating, wanting for change, calling for change, just like our late Ojukwu. Everybody loved the movement. Everybody loved the idea. Everybody loved the way it was going. But immediately bloodshed entered. I cut myself off. Immediately they started, the command and everything started. Bloodshed. It became another thing. I said, no, I'm not part of this. Because my duty first, my love first is to humanity. Nobody's life should be cut short because I'm agitating for something I don't even know if I will get. Now, what was the cause of the fight in Rwanda? Most of you don't know history. Most of you don't read. Everybody's saying, did he kill anybody? Did he do this? Did he do that? When you incite violence, when you talk to people in such a way that you ginger them, that is why influencers should be careful. I always tell, especially Facebook influencers, those that have the power to move people. Most people don't reason. Most people don't use their brain. Then there are some of us that have the brain. God has given us the brain. We can either use it for good or for evil. Then when you now use that brain that God has given you to incite violence in people, tell them that this person is your enemy, that person is your enemy, the person that wears good clothes is your enemy, the person that do this is your enemy. The person begin to, you have worked on them. They believe in you, they see you as a God. Once people start looking at you, looking up to you, seeing you as a role model, you have to be careful what you say. Because if what you say makes them commit a crime, you are in for it. That is the truth. Now, what is the cause of the war between the Hutu and the Tutsi in Rwanda? I visited Rwanda. I went to the genocide museum. I saw things for myself raw. Most of you don't travel. Most of you don't know history. Right now in Rwanda, there's no tribe. Ask anybody, where are you from? I'm from Rwanda. They don't have I am from Igbo, or I'm from Yoruba, or I'm from Hausa. I think Nigeria too should imbibe that. Nigeria should copy that thing from Rwanda. Rwandans are not friendly. Like, they are very, very skeptical. They don't trust outsiders. When I visited Rwanda and I saw all of them, they are not open to receiving guests because they don't know if you are coming to destroy them again. That genocide left their mental health scattered. So if you have seen war, you go run from war. What was the cause of Rwandan this thing? Ordinary utterance that was made on a radio station, calling a particular tribe cockroaches. If you don't know about the history, watch this movie sometime in April, or you watch Hotel Rwanda. Watch it. Our own Stephanie Kodedo acted it, a Nigerian lady. She was one of the major characters in that Hotel Rwanda. Then Idris Elba acted sometime in April. Go and watch that movie so you understand how the Rwandan war started. Utterances, just talk, where person talk for radio station. They fought that war for many years. That Rwanda is still trying to revive. In fact, Rwanda has done well after 20-something years. After 20-something years of that fight. No, almost 30 years of that fight. After 20-something years of that fight, or 30, let's just approximately 30 years. They're just trying to recover, and they're doing very well. Nigerian naira is just few change above their own. Very soon, their money will be above our own. We are here. Rwanda that faced real civil war, internal civil war. We are here. Ordinary utterance scattered the whole country. Then you are saying that is injustice. What about those that died? What about those that died and lost their life? That your family member did not die does not mean that the person who incited it does not deserve some punishment, level of punishment. What are people saying? Everybody's just being emotional. What about those that died? Those that were their life were cut short, those that were kidnapped. There's a lawyer, there's a Rotarian in Port Harcourt. Up to today, they've not seen his body. Teddy or something they call him. Speedy or Teddy, something like that. What are people saying? Igbos are the ones suffering this thing. Igbos are suffering it. Igbos in Ugwa-Hausa are suffering Ugwa-Hausa this thing. Any small thing, the Hausas will start burning their properties. Those in the north. Igbos in the north are suffering. Any small incitement, anything where just incite violence, they will burn Igbos property. Burn Igbos this thing, pursue Igbos, kill Igbos. Igbos will run down to Igbo state. When they run down to Igbo state, their own home, IPOB and Sepamba. So Igbos, I began to cry for the Igbo. Where would they stay? Where would they call home? They run to Lagos. Lagos shall say no be Igbo. Get out. Come out every Igbo. These are that. They go to Ugwa-Hausa. They threaten them. They control Igbo. They threaten them. So where do you want Igbos to stay? Nobody's looking at that. Most of you are just head mentality, brainless. You want to unfollow me? I will follow you now. I thought, fuck you. Block yourself. Do you pay me? You're coming to tell me that you want because I air my opinion. Because I said my own part of what I feel. You see that judgment? It is airtight. There's no judgment that cannot face appeal. But the truth is that judgment will stand any appeal, even any appeal before God. That judgment will stand. I have the job. I'll send it on. I will paste that. I will paste that judgment on this on the comment section. I have gone through the judgment. I read it. That judgment is airtight. Justice Omotosho did a very thorough job. Now let us even look at it. He had his lawyers along the line. His choice of lawyers were even very okay. Kanu Agabi, I love that man to stupor. Good, brilliant, one of the best lawyers in Nigeria. He had them along the line. He debriefed them that he wanted to do his case himself. They gave him time to do his case himself. He started dribbling everybody. Okay, look at his attitude in court. How do you even start to beg for such a person? I was just asking. How do you if you even want to beg for such a person, how? Get a hold on your emotions. Because the international community is watching. Now they want to, if they even want to beg for you, how did they start? You that insult a judge, call the judge by the name and tell him he doesn't know anything. You that push people, don't touch me, you are pushing. Why the grag to what end? And nobody's looking at that. Nobody's looking at that. He had his chances. Okay, defend yourself. Yes, anybody can defend. Anybody can represent themselves in court. Defend yourself. Time was running out. Defend yourself. Nothing. Let me tell you, when you rest your case on that of the prosecution, when you say, look, I have no case to answer, or I rest my case, he's suicidal. You are not giving the court the right to judge you by your opponent's testimony against you. That is what he did. Okay, my opponent has finished talking, Abi. I don't have anything to answer him. You refuse to put a defense. No matter what the defense did, put up a defense. You did not put up a defense. You did not put up a defense. And you want the judge to give you what you don't ask for. You want the judge to perform magic. How? By the time you rest your case on that of the prosecution, it is a suicidal. Immediately he did that, and I knew it was suicidal. What were people expecting? That they would not free him? He couldn't even defend himself. Come and say, oh, at least leave your legal, even though you know all the law. When it comes to representing yourself, you will lose it. I am a lawyer, a proud lawyer. But there are some cases that are personal. I will have to brief my colleague to come and represent me. Because if I represent myself, I will lose, I will make mistake. Dr. Adagwonwea, even if you are a born lawyer, Dr. Adagwonwea, when she come to shove, you call a lawyer, you brief a lawyer to please come and, you know the law, but when it comes to that representing yourself, you must miss it. You'll be emotional. You had a very beautiful legal team. Kanu Abia saying, I know they joke with that man. You debriefed him. That guy, shit. How do you start to beg? How do you even start to defend such a person? Erratic, anger, everything, everybody watched it. Yet people are saying it's injustice. How? How is it injustice? Those who lost their life on hip-hop and all this demand, because what happened? And people were not listening to his radio communication. People were not listening to everything he was saying. People were not listening to, what about the military guys, the military couple that were killed in Olu? The video was there, the woman was beheaded, her vagina was cut off. When I not see the video, how do you see white and call it black? How is it injustice? Who will give those ones justice? Whose command were they carrying out? People's in military, waste them, kill them. Whose command were they carrying out? Whose command were they carrying out? You incite people into war, you incite people into fighting themselves and say it's not your fault because you are not the one in the forefront that did it. As long as you are an influence that incited these people, my dear, you are going down with them. So at what point did they do injustice? Let me understand. You are calling it injustice. What is injustice? He was given a right to represent himself. He was given a right to counsel. He was given, I was even shocked that Justice Omotosho gave his people right for allocutus. I called one or two of my friends. I was following up yesterday, but I was too busy. So once I would just call Victor. Alpha, I definitely delivering the judgment. Okay, what about allocutus? This one, he doesn't have a lawyer. Who will do allocutus for him? Allocutus means plea for mercy. I was so happy when Justice Omotosho gave them the microphone and said, since you're a legal consultant and you have been coming to court for him, please, I will not shut him out from allocutus. Say he's allocutus or say something about allocutus. That's plea for mercy. And this Mr. Obi, he used to be my friend. Mr. Obi took the microphone and said talking. I listened to his speech. I listened to his legal counsel's speech. He was given all the rights for fair hearing, up to allocutus. He was given all. There was no command, no mistake. That's why I said that judgment is airtight. It will stand any appeal, even before God and man. That judgment will stand any appeal. And my only fear is that if he stands appeal, I pray they don't give him the maximum punishment. Maximum punishment is death. Death sentence immediately. So now, I'm even surprised that the judge was mindful enough to reduce it to just life in prison. At least life in prison, at least being alive and serving a life imprisonment, there is hope that one day something will happen. But what about death sentence? He did not even pronounce the maximum that was required by law. He gave him life, which is fair. But you people don't understand. That's why you are emotional. What if it was death sentence? What are you going to talk? The death sentence they give him before Friday they don't buy him. What are you going to talk? Like, what are the reason?
I'm standing here to say that Mr. President, I've observed over time since 99, he's a very courageous person. That's why in 99 in Lagos I voted for him to be a governor. And I also saw his courage when a minute after being sworn in, he removed all his subsidy. Though timing was wrong, I saw his courage when he brought off 4 tax bill here, we passed. We saw his courage. And also I want to encourage him to extend that his courage. Today, our brother has been jailed for life, and the judge who jailed him saw before him what you are distracting me. The judge who jailed him, or Motosho, saw things before him that made him to jail him for life. Good enough. But Mr. President has the greatest opportunity now. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a lawmaker. I'm not a lawmaker. I'm not a judge. I'm a lawmaker. What I am saying today, that Mr. President
Leader, please.
Mr. President today has the greatest opportunity as a very courageous person, that today I know that the councils to Mazi Kanu Nwankwo has not gone for appeal. We are not appealing today. We are demanding today that within the ambits of law of these 60-90 days, he has not gone to court. For Mr. President to give him a pardon and release Nnamdi Kanu to us. I raise my case.
Before I talk about these two women, let me first acknowledge the bravery of Governor Alex Otti. Visits like this usually do not happen casually. They require clearance from the Ministry of Interior, the prison authorities, and sometimes even approval at higher levels depending on the status of the inmate. The fact that the visit took place suggests that the federal government was aware and did not block it. One thing that gives added significance to Otti's visit is the fact that he remains, as the report describes, the only Southeast governor who has physically visited Nnamdi Kanu since the judgment that was delivered against him. In the eyes of many people in the Southeast, this makes him appear bold, courageous, and willing to break the silence many political leaders have maintained out of fear of federal backlash or misunderstanding. While some leaders prefer diplomacy from a distance, Otti took a more direct step that automatically positioned him as a governor who is ready to engage with difficult matters. The visit itself was reportedly very emotional and strategic. Otti spent time with Kanu face to face, not through intermediaries or lawyers, and assured him that political appeals were underway. This means several things. First, Otti was acknowledging that the legal route may take time or may not guarantee immediate relief, so stakeholders are also considering political solutions. Second, he was giving Nnamdi Kanu a form of hope, something that anyone held in detention for a long time would desperately need. By telling him that underground efforts were ongoing to secure his release, Otti placed himself in a position of advocacy and moral support. Now, it is important to understand what political appeal means in contexts like this. In Nigeria, political appeal may refer to negotiations with the presidency, discussions with the Attorney General, efforts to persuade the National Assembly to intervene, or attempts to secure a presidential pardon or conditional release. This type of diplomacy often happens discreetly because of the political sensitivity surrounding separatist movements. Alex Otti's words to Nnamdi Kanu seem to reflect this kind of discreet political engagement. His message encouraged Kanu to remain steadfast, to remain calm, and to keep believing that liberation was possible. Along with Otti's visit, another very significant development mentioned in the report is the intervention of an Abia lawmaker who publicly appealed to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to grant Nnamdi Kanu a presidential pardon within the legal 90-day window allowed in some federal processes. This lawmaker praised Tinubu's courage and framed Kanu's release as another opportunity for Tinubu to demonstrate strong leadership. In Nigerian politics, the language of praising a president before making a request is very common. It is a diplomatic style meant to show respect while also drawing attention to the magnitude of the request. By framing the plea this way, the lawmaker was indirectly saying that releasing Kanu would not be a sign of weakness. Instead, it would be a sign of strong leadership and broad-mindedness. While Alex Otti's intervention presented a hopeful and encouraging image, the story takes a different turn when it introduces the perspectives of two vocal women from Abia State who boldly criticized the IPOB movement and Nnamdi Kanu's methods. Their interventions reflect the deep internal divisions within the Southeast regarding the agitation for Biafra. Contrary to the common assumption that all Igbo people share the same view about the struggle, these women clearly insist that the Southeast is far from united on this matter.
The first woman explained that many Igbo people do not support IPOB or its push for Biafra. She argued that the narrative of a united Igbo struggle is misleading and that the silence many people have chosen is a deliberate choice, not cowardice. In her view, IPOB and its militant wing, the Eastern Security Network, brought chaos to the region through enforcement of sit-at-home orders, violent clashes, and harsh rhetoric. She stressed that choosing silence is a legitimate choice and should not be interpreted as betrayal of one's ethnic identity. This is important because, for years, many IPOB supporters attacked anyone who did not join the movement, labeling them saboteurs or enemies of the Igbo nation. What this woman is doing is reclaiming the right of individuals to hold dissenting opinions without being bullied. One of the strongest arguments she made relates to the danger of provocative speech. She compared the inflammatory radio messages of some IPOB broadcasters to the deadly rhetoric used in Rwanda before the 1994 genocide. In Rwanda, radio propaganda played a central role in encouraging mass killings. The woman's comparison suggests that she believes inflammatory and hateful messages, especially during times of tension, can escalate into violence very quickly. This comparison is a bold one because it implies that some of the statements made by IPOB leaders or supporters carry the potential for large-scale societal harm. The second woman presented a perspective that focused more on legal and moral accountability. She argued that Nnamdi Kanu still has legal rights, including the right to appeal his conviction, so supporters should stop attacking anyone who points out the complexities of the case. She highlighted alleged violent acts committed by some IPOB supporters, including killings in different states, such as the tragic murder of military couples in Anambra State. According to her, if justice is to be fair, it must consider both the rights of the accused and the suffering of the victims. Her argument is essentially that justice should not be selective or emotional. Like the first woman, she also highlighted the role of dangerous speech in fueling violence. She said that leaders, influencers, and public figures must be careful with their words because a single broadcast or video message can motivate followers to commit violent acts. She explained this by referencing her own visit to the Rwanda Genocide Museum, where she learned how quickly a nation can descend into deadly conflict when inflammatory speech targets groups of people. Her warning is simple but powerful. If Nigeria does not learn from the experience of Rwanda, it could face similar consequences. She went further to discuss Nnamdi Kanu's legal strategy, which she considers self-sabotaging. According to her, at various points in the legal proceedings, Kanu dismissed his lawyers, chose to represent himself, insulted the judge, or refused to present a proper legal defense. In legal systems anywhere in the world, such behavior can damage a defendant's chances of getting a favorable judgment. She insists that the case against him was airtight and that the judge's decision was fair. She even argues that giving him life imprisonment rather than a death sentence was an act of judicial mercy because, according to her, the charges could have attracted a harsher penalty under Nigerian law. She also said that Kanu received a full fair hearing process. In simple terms, this means he was given all the rights a defendant deserves, such as access to legal counsel, the opportunity to present evidence, the right to cross-examine witnesses, and the right to speak at the end of the trial during the allocuta stage where a defendant pleads for leniency. She insists that the judgment would stand strong at any appeal court because it was based on evidence, not emotion or public pressure. Taken together, the story presents three distinct layers of complexity surrounding Nnamdi Kanu's imprisonment and the broader Biafra conversation. The first layer involves political courage. Governor Alex Otti's visit represents the political willingness to engage with a sensitive issue head-on rather than from a safe distance. His conversation with Kanu inside the prison shows empathy, leadership, and a desire to seek solutions rather than merely observe from afar. The second layer involves political advocacy. The Abia lawmaker who appealed to Tinubu brought the matter into the national conversation in a formal way.
His request highlights the legal window in which certain presidential actions can be taken and frames Kanu's release as a politically and morally wise decision. The third layer involves internal criticism and accountability from within the Igbo community. The two women in the story amplify voices that are often overshadowed by the louder and more emotional side of the struggle. Their arguments highlight the internal fractures within the Igbo society, the real pains caused by violence associated with the movement, the dangers of inflammatory speech, and the need to prioritize justice for both the accused and the victims. Their perspectives challenge the claim that all Igbo people support IPOB or that opposing IPOB automatically makes someone anti-Igbo. When all these layers are combined, the story becomes a powerful reflection of how complex the Biafra issue has become. It is no longer a simple matter of pro-Biafra versus anti-Biafra. It now includes moral questions, legal debates, political strategies, emotional wounds, community divisions, and fears about the potential consequences of radical rhetoric. It also shows competing visions of how to solve the crisis. One side believes political negotiation and presidential intervention is the best path, while another side believes that accountability and truth-telling are necessary before justice can be served. Alex Otti's visit represents hope for one part of the population. The lawmakers' appeal to Tinubu represents a political channel that may or may not succeed. The women's criticism represents the concerns of many silent people who feel caught in the middle of a struggle that sometimes puts them at risk. All these realities exist simultaneously, showing that the Igbo society is not monolithic and that the path toward Nnamdi Kanu's eventual fate will depend on negotiations, public sentiment, legal outcomes, and federal decisions.
This is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.